All right, so we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna model a few cubes. Whatever you want, as big as you want, as small as you want, I don't care. And then, I'm sorry? There's a cube tool. So use the cube, the box tool, and just click, make a box, extrude it up. And then also just make a plane. Click on the surface tool, which is right above that. Do a rectangular plane, corner to corner, and just make a plane that make sure the plane hits all the boxes. I don't even know if the plane's gonna be necessary, but just make sure the boxes are on top of the plane. I'm gonna turn this to shaded view, and I'm just gonna move. All I'm gonna do is move the plane to a different layer. So I clicked on the plane, click on a layer, I'm gonna move it to this layer. So now I can just see the two different things. Boxes, plane. Do we have boxes and planes? All right, that's all we're gonna model. That's all we're touching in the model. All right? Right now we're just gonna look at, direct sun hours. You wanna see how much sun these things are getting. All right. So now I'm just going to open Grasshopper. Not this one though. So you should have a new document. I like to have both of them open next to each other, just so I can see what's happening. So do that. So what I want to do, I just want to see how much sun is getting on one of these boxes. Yes, Luis?
Just real quick, the red flat thing is the plane that you made?
Just a plane on the ground, yeah.
What
I just clicked on the plane tool, which is right here. Looks like with 4 dots,
okay.
surface.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
That's okay. Everybody on the same page? All right.
Real quick, that like the second row of like all the little icons, I have those as names. How about I switch that?
Second row of over here. Is it probably in your view? And maybe make one of these like ribbon tab icons maybe? Is that it? No. Canvas component tabs. Nope.
Well, it'll just be the navigation ramp.
Maybe it's one of these. No. Let me just see. Is any of these helping you or not?
It's just like those little things that.
You just pull it down a little bit. Oh, there you go. Oh, perfect. All right. Be cool? All right. So now we're going to, so the thing we're going to do, it's going to be kind of related to maybe daylighting in a sense, is we're just going to see how much sun is hitting one of these objects throughout the year. It's a bug, right? So the tool, the node that we're going to end up with is called direct sun, is LB direct sun. I like to type them in a lot, so I don't know where all the buttons are, so I like to type in. So if you, just so everybody knows, if you double click, you can search. So I just typed in direct sun. And what I want to do is I want to do LB direct sun hour. So I sometimes like to start with where I'm going to end, so I know what I need to get there, right? So LB direct sun hours, boom. So this is going to be basically the next to last node. So I know, and if you all remember from the time that you did use Ladybug, there is a logic to the way this is written, right? So just know this, because maybe you're going to want to go off book and do something different. You're going to look up YouTube videos and do whatever you want to do, because you're going to be so excited to use it because you know how to use it now. if there is an underscore on the front and that's it, like so just one underscore, that means you have to plug something in there. It needs to be plugged in. If there's an so you can see here we have underscore for vectors, so we need vectors. Underscore for geometry, we need that. Underscore for grid size in the front, we need that. You'll see there's a double underscore under time step. There's one in the front and one in the back. That means it's needed, but there's a default setting already on there. So you don't have to plug anything in, it's just going to run the default setting. Most of the time, we'll probably just let the default settings run. They'll probably be good enough for our purposes. I'm sorry?
What if that line is after it, like in context? Does it still mean the same thing?
If it's just after, I don't think it's required. So it's not required at all.
Okay.
So you don't have to plug anything in, but you can. So if there's an underscore on the front, that means it's required. If there's an underscore on the front and the back, that means it's required, but it has a default. If there's an underscore just on the back, that means it's not required, but you can plug something in there. All right? So you can see we definitely need vectors, we definitely need geometry, we definitely need grid size, and we definitely need run. Okay? The benefit, the one good thing about Grasshopper or Ladybug and Honeybee, if you hover over any of these, it'll tell you what needs to be put in. So if I hover over vectors, it says sun vectors from the LB sun path component, right? So logic would say maybe we should put the LB sun path component in this to find out what vectors are, right? If you hover over geometry, it'll say Rhino B reps or Rhino meshes, for which the direct sun analysis will be conducted, right? So these are the things that we need to, context is the same thing. Geometry is what we want to test, and context is what could affect it, right? So if I want to test this little building right here and see how much sun's hitting it, that's my geometry, and then these three are my context. If I want to test that one, that's my geometry, and then these three are context, right? So if you have a wall, we could just draw a surface as a wall, and you have a sunshade, you could say that your wall is geometry, and the shade is context. Does that make sense? So that's how you can start to use this for your project. We can get into that too, but I'm just trying to get basic things set up. So I know I need geometry, so I'm just going to put geometry in first. So I'm just going to double click and I'm going to type geometry. Geometry is a node, so I'm going to place geometry. I'm actually going to copy and paste that twice because I'm going to grab the context also. So I'm going to test. I'm just pick any one of the boxes you drew. Doesn't matter what one. So if you click on your geometry and you right click, you'll see there's set one geometry, set multiple. I'm going to set one. So I click on set one. You see Grasshopper closes for a second, and you're now hovering in here. And if you see up on Rhino, it says objects to reference. So pick the one you want to study. So I'm going to pick this guy right there. You see it selects it. It turns green because in Grasshopper, when you select on a node, it makes it green inside of Rhino. Now for the other ones, for my context, I'm just going to grab the other three, and whatever you have, grab the rest of them. But you're going to right click. I'm going to set multiple geometries because I'm going to pick more than one. Set multiple. I'm going to grab that one, grab that one, grab that one, and then hit escape. And now, whoops, I should hit enter. I'm sorry. Boom, boom, boom.
How do you bring up the one that says direct hours? Can you bring that one up again?
Bring up what?
The big.
Just double click and type in LB direct sun hours. Should be, if you type in LB direct, it should be the first thing that is at the bottom of that list. We all here? Word. All right, so this is my context, so I'm going to just take that and plug it into context. This is the thing I'm testing. I'm going to take that and plug it into geometry. We're already halfway there. All right, so now the harder part. We need to get the vectors. If you hover over vectors, it says sun vectors from LB sun path. It needs to know where the sun's coming from, right? Where's the sun? I don't know where the sun is. So if you just follow that and you double click and you type in LB sun path, this node pops up. All right, so LB sun path is what you're going to search. But it's not the end all be all because we need to plug things into that. But you can see we have vectors. Vectors is one of the things that comes out of it. If you want to, you can plug it in right now, but I like to wait until I get this node to be nice and gray so I know that I've done everything. Like I said, the underscore in the front is what you need. Underscore in the back is not necessary. Underscore in the front and the back means it's necessary, but it has a default. So the only thing that is required is the location, right? So if you hover over location, it says a Ladybug location that has been output from the LB import EPW. So let's type in LB EPW, and now this node pops up. And you'll see that there's a node that says location at the top. That's what I need to plug in, but I also need the EPW file. So then we can, if you hover over EPW file, it probably says, okay, it's not as descriptive, but I'll show you. It says an EPW file path on your system as a string. So I'm going to double click and search. I'm going to type in EPW. In this one right here, it says LB EPW map with a little magnifying glass. And then I need one more as well. If I click on Ladybug, I think it's over here. I can't remember the name of it. Oh, I think it's LB import location. Nope. That's not what I want. Oh, LB download. Oh, yeah. So when you with the Ladybug tab, go over here to the import, right down click, and then hit LB download weather, and it pops up that. So you need two nodes. You need this one, the EPW map one, and then the download. So now what this one is going to do is going to take us to a website that we can get EPW maps from. So how we get it to take it to this website is we have to set what's called a Boolean. A Boolean is a true or a false, right? So we want to toggle. So we type in Boolean, and you see Boolean toggle, and you'll see that it comes up false. And if you plug it in there, you see that we have gray. And if you click on true, your computer should go on the internet and open this website. That's okay? So this is EPW, this is LB EPW map is the node. So you need a Boolean toggle. So type in Boolean toggle. And then plug that into that EPW map and then set it to true. And it should open the internet. All right? Everybody got to the internet? Okay, so now just click on search. Pick wherever you want in the world. I don't care. I'm just going to do Philadelphia. So that way you know that Philadelphia exists because your project happens to live in Philadelphia. I'll go to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And you'll see little dots. Those dots are basically weather stations, right? EPWs are just files that have weather data in them. What was the temperature? What was the humidity? What was the wind direction? What was the this? What was the that? Every single hour of every single day of the year, right? And their averages. So airports always have them. So I'm just going to grab the one from the Philadelphia airport, which is down here. So if you click on this little blue dot, you'll see you can download it. You can download it to your computer, or you can copy it. I'm just going to copy it. So you'll see that it says copied to clipboard. That means the address to this place on the internet is now copied to my clipboard. I'm going to go back to Rhino. I'm going to add what is called a panel. I'm just going to give myself some room here. So if you double click and you type panel, you'll see this. And then you'll see this like little thing come up. If you double click inside that and then Control V, you'll see a website pop in there. Plug that into weather URL. So now Ladybug knows whenever I run this, I'm going to go to this website, go to this file, and that's where I'm getting my data from. We might want to downloading it wouldn't be, if you want to download it, you can download it, and then you just have to tell it where the file path is on your computer. I'm just doing it this way because it's just easier, which might be a mistake because we might lose internet, but so anyway, so that's that, right? So now we have our EP. So now you see it comes in there. This is nice and gray now, which means it's getting the right information. I get these 3 files out of it. I need to plug in the EPW file. So I just plug in the EPW file, like so. That turns gray, which means now I have all of this information. I have location, dry bulb temperature, dew point, relative humidity, wind speed, wind direction, direct normal radiation, diffuse, blah, 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 blah. All of that stuff is in that file. All Ladybug does is say, what shape do you want to look at? Where's north? Where are you in the world? And then it runs calculations based off that information on the shapes that you make. It's literally just taking the data from this file and running crazy calculations that none of us can do. Well, I can't do. So all I need now is my location. If I plug location in, that turns gray. And now you actually see in Ladybug that I have a sun path. All right, so now I have north. It says Philadelphia. We're all good. Are we all at the same place?
Yeah.
We cool, Luis?
I can't get the 34 EPWs on that calendar.
So you didn't do this?
No, I did that part. I did the demo part. I have the EPW map. I just can't get like the one that says like download EPW and then the other one that says import EPW.
So this one right here, if you go to Ladybug and you go to import, this guy is the LB download weather. It's the top one. Import right there. And then the next one, the import, is LB import EBW. It's the third one down. Cool? Good? And then you plug the location into the location. We're all good? Thumbs up? Okay. So now we have vectors. We know where the sun is now. Because we can see here, you can see where the sun is. You can see, you've probably seen these little, like the figure 8 before. I can't remember the name of it. It's a name for it. Maybe you guys know what the name of it is. It's like the, what's that? No? There's a name, this figure 8 shape. There's a name for it. I can't remember. It's like if you take a picture of the sun every day at the same time over the course of the year, at the exact same time, it will make that figure 8 shape in the sky over the course of the year based on north, south, east, whatever. It doesn't matter. That's where the sun's going to be. So now I take the vectors, I plug vectors in. Okay? So I only need one more thing, which is run. The run is the Boolean toggle. It's the same thing that we put in the beginning. Type in Boolean toggle. Not Boolean. You could use that, but toggle's easier. Boolean toggle. It's false. You plug that in. Whoop. 2 warnings, failed to collect data. Did I lose internet or something? Yes, but did I boo-boo something? Oh, grid size. We need grid size still. Sorry. Oh. I'm missing something? North. Maybe I grabbed the wrong. Sometimes some of the EPW maps don't have good data. Maybe that's my problem. Let me just see if I change my EPW, if that makes a difference. Okay. It says empty data.
What's your name? Up there.
What did I miss?
You're from like a leader, don't have no sleep. Like I wouldn't do that.
I'm not sure. Statement, scale, center point, solar time. Huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know why he would be here, he knows about the
Yeah. Okay, that's so crazy that you're victim blaming like that. They don't see this.
Vectors.
You never write your work unless someone else does your work. No, that's true. Trust me.
I don't know what's happening. Let me try to download it.
Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. You want to make a great cheese? I can make it. That makes you feel better about it. Let's be awesome.
Like, I didn't interrupt you the other day, you missed out. No,
Wow, thanks for the invite.
No, Evan, you were sick. Heidi invited you to that evening.
Oh,
You ended up
yeah.
being sick that day.
I did. Oh,
Quick one.
What is that?
you should go back. I'm in another,
I'm so happy to find out.
Are we adding that?
No, I don't understand why it's not working, to be honest with you. So it works in this and UPW file download location. All right, well, let me see. Let me just fix one problem at a time. So let me see what the deal is there. So grid size. All I need to do is tell it what size of the grid. I can plug that number slider we made right into the grid size. Apologies. Okay, so we solved the grid size problem, but we haven't solved the vector problem. And I don't know why. Vectors. With that, did anybody's work after that?
No. Actually, I think things got worse. No, it's not that bad. It's not that
Okay.
bad. You're good. You're good.
So I'm not sure why it's not collecting the vectors. That's what I'm not following right now.
Oh, so do we not need to point the...
We don't. That was a mistake on my end.
I had one semester. They did this exact thing. The bigger wants the hours and the scale. It's like as soon as I disconnect the same.
So it's not grabbing vector. Like
I think the vectors. Do the vectors just come from the
it should automatically come from it. Okay, so let me see here. Number. So we can try this. We can try to solve this problem another way. We could tell it what we want to analyze. So maybe this will solve it. So what I think might be the problem, to Michael's point, is you see this thing, it's called HOYS, H-O-Y-S, which means hours of the year. So what we can try to do to solve this problem is tell it what hours we want to review. So to do that, you have to add a node called LB analysis period. So just type in LB analysis and it should pop up. LB analysis period. And it should have start month, start day, start hour, end month, end day, end hour. So you have to put all those things in, but that's not that big of a deal. They're all just numbers. So if you hover over it, start month, it's looking for a number from 1 to 12. Start day is looking for a number from 1 to 31. And start hour is 0 to 23, right? So we just need to make 3 number sliders. So if you double click, we can make our month 1, type in 1, period, 12. We can make our day 1, our day 1, we can go 1, period, 31. And then we can make our hour 1, double click, and go 0, period, 23. So I can say my start month would be January, my start day would be 1, my start hour would be midnight. I could copy all of those. I just click them all, Control C, Control V. I can just take this to the end, 12, end month is 12, end day is 31, end hour is 23, like that. So if you hover over this now, you should see 8,000. If you hover over HOYS, hours of the year, it should say 8,760 defined values. That means I want to know every hour of the year. If I don't want to know every hour of the year and I only want to know the summer, I could change this to 6, and I could change this to 8, and now it's going from June 1st to August 31st. And if I hover over HOYS again, I only have 2,000. Right, so you can scale up or down depending on what you want to look at. So I'm just going to leave, you can make it whatever you want. I'm just going to leave it at that, summertime. I'm going to plug those into here. Okay, that solved my problem. So, Michael, you're right. Good job. All right, so now everything should turn gray. And now all I need to do to get it to run would be to change this false to true. Now it's true. And here in Rhino, I'm just going to select all of my stuff, and then hide it so I can see it. Inside of Grasshopper, I'm going to select on the geometry I'm analyzing. I'm going to right click that, and I'm going to turn off its preview also, so that I can just see the stuff. So you can see here, if I look in plan, you'll see here's a scale. Top of the scale is 1,105 hours, bottom at yellow, bottom is 0. So if I look in 3D, you can see on this thing, I'm getting a lot of sun here, a lot of sun on the roof. The roof's basically never not seeing the sun. I'm getting basically no sun on the backside of that. But let's say I'm citing this project. I'm going to show my stuff. And I want to move this thing. And I want to move it back here. I'm going to hide that again. Perspective. Now you can see things are changing. I'm getting sun on this side. I'm getting less sun there. I'm getting less sun on these two sides. This corner's changing, right? Which is what we would probably expect because this is south. So I'm getting morning sun on this face. Sun's coming up. I'm getting a lot of sun on the roof. Sun's coming down. I'm getting maybe a little sun here, but I'm probably starting to get blocked by this building. Yada, 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 right? So that's direct. So did everybody see that? Everybody get to a result where something popped out? I'm getting blank looks. Red X's? Oh, it's probably because I deleted something when we went through it. Yeah, so in here, turn it this like this. I thought I needed to do that, but I didn't. All right. So now I have that. Now we have this built, right? So now let's try something crazy. I'm going to select everything in Rhino and I'm going to delete it. So all the geometry in Rhino, oops. I'm just going to select it and delete it. I'm going to select this and delete it. So now I have a lot of orange stuff because I've deleted everything that I was referencing. Now, let's say I had a wall. So I'm going to make a wall. I'm going to do vertical plane right here. I'm just going to click on, I clicked on plane, there's a vertical. I'm going to do this, I'm going to draw a plane. Now I'm going to do another plane, like this, on the ground, like so. I'm gonna move that guy up like this. I'm going to make the vertical plane, I'm going to add to my geometry. So where that geometry goes into the sun hours, I'm going to click on geometry here, set 1, click that. Now I made this horizontal plane. I'm going to, for the context, I'm going to click on that, set 1, select that. It's going to take a second because now it's going to look at this wall. So let me hide this. It's not really changing much, so maybe doesn't feel like it's changing all that much. It might be. What happens if I let me just see something here. I thought that would work better than maybe it actually does. Hold on a second. Apologies. Let me see what I'm doing wrong here. No. Let me just extrude this as a box for a second. Let me delete that.
Where are you gonna go?
It worked for me when I figured the values.
You did what? I'm sorry. Okay, I just added a box and then exploded it. It seemed to work a little better for me. So what I just did, maybe Stephanie has another idea. I just took that plane that I had drawn, I made it a box and then exploded it, just so that way I knew it was only going to be getting sun from one side. And I made everything behind it a context and this context. And now I can see how that shade is working on this facade, right? And I could say, well, what happens if I make it smaller? If I select this line, shift it back. Now you can see how it's happening on that facade. Now it's shading less. This is really tall, so that's a, But you can imagine you have a facade and you want to like put shading devices on it, and you want to see how much sun is getting to the interior of a plane. You could either see what's hitting here, or what I could even do is, let's say this is a wall. Whoops, I'm gonna delete that for a second. Come on. And I want to see how much is hitting the floor, right? So I can make the floor the geometry that I want to test. It's probably going to panic for a second. And I could select everything else. So I could put, right now I'm not getting hardly any hours. It's probably because it's all enclosed. But you kind of get the idea. You could start to test different facades for daylighting. What did you say you did, Stephanie? Out of what? Oh, you just cleared everything and... So I could set this geometry. I'm getting no sun in there, which doesn't seem right. So I'm not sure why I'm getting 0 right now, but we can obviously work that out. But the idea is that you can now start to analyze a facade, put shading devices on it, and see how many hours of sun is getting in there, right? So I'll figure out why. I'm not sure. Now I want to figure out why it's not working. Oh, it's probably because it was facing the wrong direction, maybe. Sometimes when you model, there we go. Sometimes when you model surfaces, they get kind of flipped around. So sometimes it helps to like remodel the surface, so that way it knows what direction it's facing. There we go. So I think my surface was flipped like upside down, so I just remade that bottom. But now I can see how many hours, if I look at it in a floor plan, I can see how many hours of sun and how deep it gets in the space, right? So I can see back here I'm getting 200 hours of sun a year, or throughout the summer, I guess. And I'm getting 2,000 hours in that front spot. So I'm getting really hot sun right there. So maybe I want to move my shade down or something. And if you want to like move things around, I can like set this to false real quick. Maybe I put a shade like that. I can rerun it. I just clicked it to true, hopefully. Now I can see it's, now my yellow isn't getting as deep. My blue is a little bit further out. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's not a good thing, you know? You also have to make sure your building's facing the right direction. That's critical. Right now it's just facing directly south. I could either rotate my building, or in this node, just so you know, in the sun path node, there's a north button, which is just looking for a number between negative 360 and positive 360. So if I double click and create a number slider, I can type negative 360, period, 360. And now I can plug this into north. And it's rerunning. Hold on a second. Set this to false for a second. I can rotate the sun. So I can say, oh, maybe south is more this direction. And then I can run it again and see how that operates. All right, so it's critical that south is the right direction. So now you can see it's coming from a different angle, getting in a different direction, blah, blah, blah. Right? So that is a basic daylighting analysis that you could do. There's 1,000 other versions. You all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It just doesn't like when like there's big numbers and you make the little changes.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes it's good to like turn it off, like turn it to false so it doesn't run every time, because every single time you change something, it's going to rerun it, right? So this could be a way to look at a floor, like you have a facade that's big in glass, and you have this big floor space, and you want to put some shading devices on it. If you get it the right direction, you can model the shade. You can model that floor and like the general walls around it. Just leave whatever place is a window or glass. Don't put anything there, and then model your potential shading system and look at different types of shading systems, right? So this is just a horizontal one. I could look at, or this is just like, sticking out from the building horizontally. If you're facing west and east, vertical louvers tend to be the best. So you can look at vertical ones, or you can look at some combination. How deep do you want them? What's the spacing on them, and see the different things, right? So this is just one way to look at daylighting. Any questions? So now that you have this script, theoretically, you could just model a surface, model whatever you want, and plug those two geometries in, and that should be pretty close to starting an analysis, right? Sorry? This is more daylight. Probably won't have time for comfort, but I will promise you that we will. And same with energy. We can go over. Just so you know, comfort. There is a node. So I'll just show you some other nodes real fast. That once you have this, you don't even need all this stuff, but I'll just show you some things that might be useful. Very quick things, right? So under, where is it? Is it visualize data? Under visualize data, let's say some of you all were talking about wind. Let's say you wanted a wind rose for your site. Once you have that EPW map in, if you go on Ladybug and you go to visualize data, you'll see wind rose. You drop that in, and you'll see that it's looking for data. If you hover over it, data, I believe, is wind direction. And if you go look at that EPW thing that we plugged in, you'll see that you have wind direction, which I can plug into data. Or no, wind direction goes here, and wind speed goes here. And look at that.
Hold on.
Oh, whoa, hold up. We found something that we like. Let's pay attention for a second. Just kidding. What's that?
You said wind speed?
So drop that wind rose in, plug wind speed into data, and wind direction into wind direction. And if you want to put it somewhere else, I'm just going to drop a point over here. I'm going to set one point. I'm just going to move it over there, so that way it's off scale there. So here you can see meters per second is red, is the most. 4.9 is the least. Well, the least is probably 0, but you can see, okay, the prevailing wind is west-northwest, right? One more thing that'll be fun for you to look at. I think all of these can do crazy, interesting stuff. Let me see here.
Which one was shadow?
I just want to see if this is any useful, or if it's useful at all. So once you have, hold on, I'll tell you in a second. Let me just see if it makes sense. Base points. So over here, so once you have that EPW map in, if you go over to in Ladybug to visualize data, you'll see there's hourly plots, monthly chart. I just clicked on monthly chart, and all you need all at once is data. So plug anything in there. So I just plugged in dry bulb temperature. So you can see that this is the dry bulb temperature throughout the year in Philadelphia. I can plug in relative humidity. You can plug in anything, and it'll show you all these different things, right?
What's that box called?
This is just called the monthly chart. It's just called visualize data. Monthly chart, I think there's an hourly one. Let's see what this one looks like. So this one looks a little cooler. This is the hourly chart, same exact thing, visualize data. LB hourly plot. So this is temperature. Why y'all all giggling?
Huh?
Why y'all giggling?
Oh, we're having a good ass time.
Yeah, I guess so.
Is there a way to
I want to have a good ass time too.
where the thing pops up?
Where what?
Relative on where the actual chart pops up? Or is it relative on where your viewport is?
It just pops up dead center. So what I do when I want it to go somewhere else, I just go into Rhino and I place a point somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? I just dropped a point randomly. And then inside of Grasshopper, I put a point node. And I right click that, set one point. I select the point that I had. Oh. And then I plug, then all of these have a base point, and then I just plug that base point into there, and then the chart will go wherever that point is. So now I can move that point around. and the chart will move with it. Right? So this one was what? This is relative humidity across the year. This is an hourly plot. So you can do any of the data that comes out of here. You can do barometric pressure, direct radiance. It's just numbers. Yes. This one right here. Visualize data. LB hourly plot is the top one. Drop that. And then you'll see there's a data plug in at the top. Anything from EPW, just plug it into there. I can plug in wind speed. There's my wind speed. Direct normal radiation. There's my direct normal radiation. Right? One more thing that we can do with this data. We talked about this. I mentioned this last class. Psychrometric charts. Remember we mentioned it last class? Who remembers what the psychrometric chart is? Reagan does. What is it? So it's like, talking about this, Evelie's thermal comfort. This isn't what I'm going to show you, but this is the start of it. The psychrometric chart dictates when we feel comfortable, right? It plots multiple things all at the same time. It plots dry bulb temperature, wet bulb temperature, humidity, some other things. If you want the psychrometric chart for Philadelphia right now, you go up to the visualized data, type in LB psychrometric chart. It needs a few things. So it needs temperature, which I have right here, dry bulb temperature. It needs relative humidity, which I have right here, relative humidity. And that's basically it. And you scroll out. I'll put it on one of these points. There's the psychrometric chart for your site. Right? So it tells you how many hours of the year that how many hours of the year we're in these different spots. Right? So the redder it is, the more time we're there. The bluer it is, the less time we're there.
I know you just pulled this up.
Yep.
What was the landing into have that up?
How to get it?
Yeah.
So do you have this note up?
What's
Psychrometric. So if you want the psychrometric chart up, you go to visualize data,
Oh,
and then it's fifth one down, LB psychrometric chart. Click on that. You need to plug at least two things in. You need the dry bulb temperature. You plug that in from the import EPW, and you need the relative humidity. You could plug the rest of the things in. Some of these are also here.
Are you able to change the units for that?
Change the units. Like, so from what? What do you mean?
Like if Celsius.
I'm sure you can. You may have to convert the dry bulb. I don't know how to do that right off the top of my head. I'm sure you can. My guess is that you have to do it before you plugged it in. From here, you have to do it. There's a conversion, and then plug it in. Right? There's got to be a node that does it. But I'm sure we can. We can put that on the list to look up. All right. One last thing you can do with the psychrometric chart, I think. Let me see here. Where is it? Can't remember what it is right now. Scale, temperature range. Oh, right here. This PMV polygon, which is for indoor thermal comfort. if I take that, so if you click on Visualize Data, LB PMV polygon, and you plug the psych chart into that, you'll see this polygon pop up, and that is the comfort zone. Hold up.
I'll admit I was not paying attention.
What's that?
Could you go with that one more time?
Yes. All right, is everybody who wants to know paying attention? Okay. Visualize data.
Yeah.
Third one down, LB PMV polygon.
Yeah.
Click on that, drop it. There's only one thing you need to plug into that, which is the psych chart, which if you look at our psychometric chart, there is a node that comes out that's called psych chart. Plug that in, and then a polygon pops up on top of the psychometric chart. And that should be thermal comfort.
That one little.
This area, if anything that falls in this polygon, and theoretically should be comfortable.
So the hour, I'm just confused about actually reading. It's been a little while since I've written the actual psychometric chart.
Me and you both.
Gradient actually means what?
The what? Sorry, say it again.
What does the color gradation mean?
So these are hours. So this is hours of the year. So this is how many hours. So if it's red, so there's one red spot. So there are 186 hours in the year that are in that spot.
Okay.
You know, anything that's blue, only 1 hour of the year is in that spot. Let's say we didn't want, like this is the whole year, but let's say we, you know, I'll just say this, everybody may want to watch this one thing, and then we'll be done. You can tell the psychrometric chart, I don't want to look at the full year, I want to look at a specific time of the year. I can look at a day, I can look at a month. So that same node that we made up here with all these, the HOIs, the analysis period, is the same node. I'm just going to turn out the false real quick. So if I plug that, so there's a period that comes out of that. If I plug that period into the psychometric chart, you'll see that it starts to change. And I can move this up, and I can look at very particular time frames. So this is from what, May 1st at midnight to August 31st at 11 o'clock. So that's just that time of the year. I could look at just I could look at just five, I could look at just that day. 5, 1. So now you can see that on May 1st, nothing falls inside of the comfort zone, I'm at 0. I probably circled around on myself. So you can look at every day, you can look at whatever. I'll show you one more thing and then we'll be done. All right. So let me go back, and you can just watch this. You don't have to do this. All right. So you don't have, but just know how to do this. So I'm just going to hide. I'm going to take this and I'm going to put this on perspective. I'm going to come back to here. I'm just going to hide my geometries here. Actually, no, I will just hide this bottom one. I'm going to turn this back on. So I have this data right now I plugged this, we made this period where we went from whatever day to whatever day. Let's say I made this for May 1st. All right, so this is just that one day. So it's May 1st from midnight to 11. So I'm looking at one day of sun. But let's say I wanted to look at every day in May, and I wanted to look at all the different days, and I wanted to see it change. Okay? I can animate that in Grasshopper. I could get it to pop out the images of every single day very easily. All right? So on this number slider, this is the day number slider. So I want it to do every single day. So I want it to go from the 1st to the 2nd to the 3rd to the 4th, right? I'm actually going to, because I want it to only be a single day, I'm going to plug this number slider into there. So that way I only have to do it on one. So this represents my day. So if it slides on 1, that's May 1st. 2, that's May 3rd. So you can see, okay, it's changing over the course of May, right? But let's say I want to see all that pop out. I don't want to figure that out. If I right click on that node, that's the day node. If I right click on that, you'll see there's an animate button. I click on animate. I get this, this isn't, I would align this better. I would do nicer things, but just know that that's what I would do. I'd find I'll just make a folder, new, class test. That's my folder I want them all to go to. So I'm going to do every day in May. I don't know, what is there, 30 days in May? I'm not sure. So I'm just going to do 30 frames because I only have 30 days. So I only wanted to do it 30 times. I could tell it what size I want. That's the view it's going to export. I can tell it, this is going to be May. So I'll just make this May 05. So that's the file name. And then so once I do all those things, I hit OK. Now it's going to cycle through. It's going to go through all those. It's going to be done. And now if I go to that folder, I think I put it here. Now I have all these pictures. So now if I cycle through these pictures, I can see it, it's not changing very much. But you can imagine doing that for every day of the year and seeing how it changes over the full year. Or any of these can be done like that. Any node like that. Any slider node can be animated like that. It's basically just going to cycle up until it hits the end of the slider. So whatever the minimum of the slider, it'll start at 1, then it'll go to 2, and let's say it goes to 10. It's going to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it'll stop. And it'll save an image every time. Right? So, you're welcome. So this is a daylighting analysis. At some point in the next coming weeks, we'll talk about Comfort 1, and then when you guys get closer to your MEP stuff, which will be in like 2 or 3 weeks, we'll talk about energy stuff. Cool? But you went to the Heliodon, you did some tests, you learned some things about sun. You can continue that knowledge through this small script, right? By modeling quick things and seeing how they affect your projects. I'm going to stop recording.